Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today we've got another new choke and load to test, both of which I'm really excited to see how they can perform because they're both on the budget side. So if they do well together, then hey, we might have a pretty good budget turkey setup here. But for the show we've got out here today, it's another one that Jack sent us. So big thank you to him for sending some of these out because I'm definitely excited to test them and see what they can do. But we've got some of the Winchester Double X turkey shells out here today. These are a 12 gauge 3-inch 1 3/4 ounce load of number 5s, moving about 1,300 feet per second. So they are definitely getting up there towards that high velocity range, that's for sure. I mean, they do claim high velocity on the box as well. So I don't necessarily expect these to get into the longbeard shell realm of patterns, but I don't know, they might surprise us. The components should be pretty much the same, but they're not going to be loaded with that same really tight wax buffer material stuff that the longbeard shells use. So I don't know. We'll try them and see how well they perform. Hopefully pretty well for a budget shell anyway. And as for the setup we've got out here today to run them through, I brought out the Remington 1187 here, but for a choke, I picked up one of these, a Primos Tight Wad, which has been highly suggested by a lot of you guys. A lot of you say you like it or have seen good results. This one is the 660 constriction Tight Wad, so I'm definitely curious to see how well it does. I've seen and heard a lot of good results out of these, so I'm thinking as long as these double X shells can perform, this Tight Wad should do its job as well. But as for the test, we're going to run everything the same as usual. I have the turkey target set up at 40 yards. I also have the chronograph, so we'll be able to get our speed and how close it is to the 1300 that's on the box. So let's get you guys set up with a view of the target. We'll take our shot, look at our chrono, and then go down and see how they actually perform. I have some decently high hopes for these, but it is on the budget side, so it may not work out as good as what I'm hoping anyway, but we just got to test it and see. So let's head over here and take our shot and see what kind of results we can get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1358 through the chrono. The box is claiming 1300, so we saw a little bit above their claim, which does not surprise me considering our 28-inch field barrel on that gun. We typically do see a little bit higher than a lot of Winchester's claims through my particular shotgun, so 1358 doesn't surprise me. However, that is moving a little bit on the fast side, but that doesn't mean they didn't perform well downrange, so let's go down and take a look and see how they actually patterned. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. I did have to touch up the birchwood casey with the paint marker a little bit so you could actually see where the pellets hit, but this is what we ended up with. We do have a dead bird. There are a couple that did hit the spine there, plus a few of those would have went through the chest area as well, so would have absolutely been a dead turkey. But overall here, not quite as good as what I was hoping it would be. It's definitely not terrible, all things considered, for a budget setup. We do see a pretty circular overall pattern, and our core might have favored just a touch to the right, maybe. And what we do see here, just off the right edge of his neck, is a pretty even little core area. So overall, not terrible, but definitely not quite as tight or condensed as what I was expecting or hoping it would be anyway. I don't know, the little bit cheaper Super X5s that we've tested have probably done a little bit better than this, but this is just the very first test with these shells through this tight wad, so I don't know. It's definitely a usable turkey pattern out to 40 yards. Now we do see, even though it is a little bit more of an open pattern, we see probably what I would definitely call one flyer down there at the bottom and probably another one up there at the very top. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but we've seen better out of cheap loads. And I think we can get better out of this specific load as well. And I think I might know part of the reason why we see this kind of pattern, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. But overall, I mean, if that's our core that favored just a touch right, it's not terrible, but we do see a little bit of sporadicness or gaps or something like that right around that bird's head just outside of the core, which I don't really like to see. I'd much rather have an even pattern or consistent pattern if it's going to be a little bit more on the open side, and this one's borderline for me. If it's what I had, it would absolutely be a 40-yard turkey setup, but I think we can get better out of both the tight wad choke and these double X5s. Okay, and here's the wad out of that shell, and as you can see, it's just a straight up Winchester Longbeard XR wad, just without the buffer material stuff on the inside, or at least the waxy buffer material anyway. These do have the little granulated, like Grex type buffering. I don't know if you can see down in the bottom right corner there are a couple little pieces of it, but overall here, it is just a straight up Longbeard wad. But what I'm noticing is, see right on the tips of these pedals here, how there's a little snag point on all of them, especially this one right over here on the edge. You can really see on the back here where it's snagged. Being that it's that small of a little snag point on all of these, I'm thinking that the edge of this wad might have caught some of the porting on the inside of that choke. It's very minimal and it's definitely not the worst I've seen, but something as simple as that little snag right as it exits the barrel could affect the pattern a little bit. It's not terrible, but maybe these shells like a non-ported choke better. I don't know. We'll just have to see as we continue to test these shells and that tight wad if it continues to be a problem or not for one or the other. But other than that, not really anything too special to see and looks pretty good overall. But I definitely think that little snag might have hurt our pattern just a little bit. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? It's not terrible. It's not anything super amazing or impressive either, but for a budget combination, if you had very limited resources, it would be a 40-yard turkey pattern. Farther than that, I don't know if I'd really push it. Inside of 40, yeah, it would absolutely do the job. So overall, not terrible, but not exactly quite what I was hoping for or what I was looking for or hoping to see out of them anyway. But that's why we test, because I think we can get better both out of the double X shells and that tight wad choke. So with that being said, what are your thoughts about it? Is that about what you expected? Were you hoping for a little bit better? And if you use the double X5s and or the tight wad choke, what has been your results with them? And maybe what do you want to see as far as shells run through the tight wad, or what chokes do you want to see the double X5s run through? Let me know all that down in the comments. But with that being said, I've got some more tests to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as a mailbox where you can send stuff to the channel if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested, but I'm going to get back to it. So I'll see y'all in the next one.